Nice. So you're looking at the Apple AirPods Max, the ones with the new USB-C port. Right.
Yeah,
And you want to know if these, well, pretty expensive headphones are actually worth the cash without getting totally bogged down in tech specs.
exactly.
So think of this as like your fast track. We're figuring out what makes them special and if they should be, your next big audio buy.
Right. We've basically lived in these for weeks, used them constantly, all based on a really detailed review. Our mission today, cut through all the marketing noise. What's the real value here?
Okay.
What are the key features, what works brilliantly, and what might make you hesitate?
And what makes them different in, let's face it, a super crowded market?
Precisely.
All right, let's dive in. First impressions. You see them and, well, there's no mistaking they're Apple.
Oh, definitely.
The review we looked at calls the design bold but also refined, and that midnight color, it's described as having this, like, subtle, really premium look, a deep blue, almost black.
Yeah, it sounds like they nailed that specific aesthetic. Sophisticated, but not, flashy.
And the build quality gets a lot of praise.
It really does.
Yeah.
The review hammers this home. You've got anodized aluminum for the ear cups that feel solid, premium. Then there's the stainless steel headband, but it has this soft touch material over it.
Okay.
And that mesh canopy on top, the distinctive bit. It all just screams, well, high-end construction. Built to last, hopefully.
Now the weight, 385 grams. That sounds heavy.
It is, on paper. But interestingly, the review says the weight distribution is surprisingly well-balanced.
Which is crucial, right? Because who wants heavy headphones you can't wear for long?
Exactly. Comfort is king for long listening sessions.
Oh.
And it seems they've managed it.
And it's not just the balance.
No, the review mentions the adjustment too. The arms telescope smoothly, like intentionally. Not loose, not too stiff.
Gotcha.
Plus the ear cushions. Memory foam, magnetically attached, described as really plush. Good seal, comfortable. It seems like the whole design focus was user experience.
Okay, but there is a negative mentioned early on. The smart case.
Ah, yes, the infamous case.
The review calls it a minor gripe, but yeah, divisive is the word. That sort of handbag look.
Yeah, it's certainly a look.
And the reviewer felt that for this kind of money, you would expect a proper hard shell case, for actual protection.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
It does seem like maybe Apple prioritized the aesthetic or the low power function over ruggedness.
So it puts them in a low power state, but doesn't really protect them much if you toss them in a bag.
Pretty much. It's definitely not the kind of protection you might expect or want for such expensive headphones. Still sparks debate, that case.
Okay, let's move to features. The big one, USB-C.
Finally, yes.
A very welcome change, the review says, especially if you're already using USB-C for everything else.
Absolutely. One less cable to worry about.
Yeah.
And faster charging is mentioned as a definite plus.
But, and this is interesting, still no lossless audio support, even over that USB-C cable.
Nope. That's the kicker. You get the convenience for charging, but not for, like, super high-fidelity wired audio.
Why do you think that is, given Apple pushes quality elsewhere?
It's a good question. Maybe they feel their wireless tech, AAC encoding, and spatial audio are, good enough for most people. Or perhaps it's strategic, keeping things tied to their wireless ecosystem, their own processing like the H1 chips. It will disappoint some audiophiles for sure.
Right. Speaking of wireless, pairing with Apple stuff is, well, predictably seamless.
Well, usual Apple magic, yeah. Open the case near your iPhone, tap connect. Done.
And that automatic switching between iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple TV, the review praises its reliability, calls it impressive.
That's a huge selling point if you're in that ecosystem. It just works, moving between devices without you having to fiddle in Bluetooth settings. Really smooth.
But if you step outside the Apple garden, there's Bluetooth 5.3, which is good, standard.
Right, solid connection for Android, Windows, whatever.
But the review clearly states you miss out on some of the smarter features. So you're not really getting the full package then, are you?
Not entirely. They'll work as great Bluetooth headphones, sound good, ANC works, but things like spatial audio with the head tracking.
Where the sound follows your head movements.
Exactly, that cinema-like effect.
Yeah.
And the seamless switching. A lot of that intelligence is tied to Apple devices.
Makes sense. Another thing, no standard 3.5 millimeter headphone jack.
Nope, gone.
If you want wired audio, you need Apple's separate USB-C to 3.5 millimeter audio cable.
Classic Apple, isn't it? Pushing towards wireless, simplifying ports. But yeah, it means buying an adapter if you need that connection.
Okay, what about controlling them on the headphones themselves?
Sounds pretty good, actually. Intuitive. You got the digital crown, like on the Apple Watch.
Oh, right. For volume.
The volume, yeah.
Yeah.
Skipping tracks, answering calls, activating Siri. And the review loved how tactile it is. Much better than swiping on a touch surface sometimes.
I agree. Physical controls can be much more reliable.
Definitely. And then there's just one other button. That's for switching between noise cancellation and transparency mode.
Simple enough.
Very. And again, praised for being a proper clicky button. Feels premium, works well.
Let's talk about those modes then. Noise cancellation and transparency. Often make-or-break features at this price.
Absolutely crucial.
The review calls the ANC nothing short of outstanding. Effective everywhere. Trains, offices, noisy streets.
High praise indeed.
And it apparently creates this immersive quiet without that weird ear pressure some ANC headphones give you.
That's a big deal. That
Yeah.
pressure can be really fatiguing. The review also mentioned it adapts in real time, constantly adjusting to the noise around you. Sounds very sophisticated.
And transparency mode, letting the outside world in.
Gets basically equal praise. Equally impressive. Sounds remarkably natural.
So, like, you're not really wearing headphones. You can have a conversation easily.
That's the goal. And apparently Apple nails it. You can hear your surroundings clearly, naturally, without things sounding artificially boosted or weird. Essential for awareness.
And switching between the two modes, ANC and transparency.
The review says it's nearly instantaneous. No weird audio glitches or delays, just a smooth transition.
Nice. That points to good processing power, that H1 chip working hard.
Seems like it. It all contributes to that seamless user experience they aim for.
Okay, the main event for many, audio quality. How do they actually sound?
The review describes the sound as beautifully balanced and refined. That's the key takeaway.
Meaning not just booming bass or super sharp highs.
Exactly. More about clarity, detail, and separation across the whole range. Aiming for accuracy, a natural sound rather than a heavily colored one, versatile for different music genres.
Vocals are called crisp and natural. Mids are well-defined.
Which is great for hearing details in music or clarity in podcasts and calls.
And the bass, is it lacking?
Apparently not. Described as having enough low-end punch for most people. So a solid foundation, but it doesn't overpower everything else. Sounds like a really well-rounded, enjoyable profile.
Then there's spatial audio, using those H1 chips again.
Right. This adds another dimension, especially with dynamic head tracking.
For compatible stuff like Apple Music, Apple TV, plus that.
Yeah. The review calls it a cinema-like experience. It creates this 3D soundscape around you that moves as you turn your head.
Makes movies and certain music tracks feel more immersive.
Definitely. It can really elevate the experience, make it feel more lifelike, like the sound is coming from around you, not just inside your ears.
And they've taken that further with personalized spatial audio.
Yes, this is interesting. It uses the True Depth camera on your iPhone, the Face ID one, to scan your ears.
To map the shit? Why?
To tailor the spatial audio effect specifically to your ear geometry. The idea is to make that 3D soundstage even more accurate and convincing for you personally. Especially noticeable with Dolby Atmos tracks.
Wow, okay. Apple really pushing the tech there.
They are. It's all about creating that personalized, immersive experience.
But let's circle back to the lossless thing. We mentioned it with USB-C. No native support, even wired.
Correct. Still a point of discussion.
The review acknowledges this might bug serious audiophiles. People who want that absolute maximum fidelity.
Yeah, the purists might not be happy.
But the review still concludes the overall audio experience is top tier for most listeners.
Right. It suggests Apple's betting that the quality they do deliver, combined with ANC and spatial audio, is more than enough for their target audience. A premium experience, even without true lossless.
Okay. What about battery life? How long do they last?
Sounds pretty solid. Around 20 hours is the figure quoted, and that's with ANC and spatial audio turned on.
That's decent, enough for a long flight or a couple of days of commuting.
For sure. And the charging is quick now with USB-C. A 5-minute charge gives you about an hour and a half of playback.
Oh, that's handy. For those oh no, they're dead moments just before you leave the house.
Exactly. Minimizes downtime.
But the review brings up that auto mission, again, no power button.
Still no physical on-off switch now.
They rely on the smart case to put them into that ultra-low power mode.
Primarily, yes. Though the review did say that wasn't always totally reliable in activating it.
So what happens if you don't use the case? Do they just stay on?
They do go into a low power state automatically after you leave them stationary for a while, like sitting on a desk. But the ultra low power mode is supposedly triggered by the case. It's unconventional,
Definitely unusual for headphones like these. Seems like a potential point of minor frustration.
Could be for some users, yeah.
All right, comfort. We talked about the weight distribution, but how about wearing them for hours?
Surprisingly good, according to the review, despite the weight.
What makes them comfortable then?
That breathable mesh headband seems to really help spread the weight. And the ear cushions are highlighted plush, comfortable memory foam.
And crucially, they don't get too hot. Sweaty ears are the worst.
Exactly. The review makes a point of saying the ear cushions stay relatively cool even during long sessions. That's a huge plus for long-term wearability.
Okay, we've hinted at this a lot, but let's focus on the Apple ecosystem advantage.
This is arguably one of the biggest factors.
That seamless automatic switching we mentioned, audio sharing, letting a friend listen on their AirPods too, find my support.
So you can track them down if you misplace them, like an AirTag.
And deep Siri integration. The review says all this stuff works flawlessly.
And it makes them feel like, well, just another piece of your integrated Apple setup. It's not just headphones. It's part of the system.
That's got to be a massive draw if you're already using an iPhone, Mac, iPad.
Absolutely. For those users, this seamlessness, this integration, it adds significant value that competitors just can't replicate in the same way within Apple's world.
But flip side, as the review points out,
If you're not in that world,
if you're using Android
Yeah.
or Windows primarily, many of these smarter features just don't work.
right, you lose a lot of that magic. They become just, well, very expensive Bluetooth headphones.
Which makes that high price tag harder to justify, as the review puts it.
Definitely. It really highlights who Apple is targeting here. If you're outside the ecosystem, you're paying a premium for features you can't use. You might find better pure value elsewhere.
Which leads us perfectly into price and value. They are expensive, no getting around it.
High-end luxury category for sure.
The review tackles this head-on. Acknowledges the cost, but suggests for some, the design, the sound, that Apple integration might make it worth it.
It's a personal calculation, isn't it?
Totally. But it also fairly mentions there are excellent alternatives from competitors that cost significantly less.
Yeah, the Sonys, the Bose headphones.
Yeah.
Great options out there for less money.
So the verdict seems to be, if you prioritize premium design, top-class ANC, and especially that seamless Apple experience, they deliver.
That seems to be the consensus. It's about what you value most.
Okay, let's wrap up with the final verdict from the review.
Sounds good.
They're summed up as a bold statement. More about the total experience, the integration, the style, not just the sound.
Which aligns with a lot of Apple products, really.
Yeah. Build quality gets top marks again. ANC is called brilliant, audio is rich, and that Apple magic is mentioned.
That intangible integration factor.
They're placed among the best wireless headphones out there, especially now with USB-C and the personalized spatial audio features enhancing things.
So, still very highly rated.
Very. But the caveat remains, not for everyone because of the price,
Understandably.
but an easy recommendation if you're in the Apple ecosystem and want that premium all-in-one package. The final score given, 4.5 out of 5.
A very strong score. It really reflects that they excel in key areas, especially for their target audience, even with the high cost factored in.
Yeah.
A compelling option if you value what they uniquely offer.
So there we have it, a pretty thorough deep dive into the Apple AirPods Max, the USDC version, drawing from that detailed review. Hopefully that gives you a much clearer picture.
Yeah, hopefully that cuts through some of the hype and helps you figure things out.
And maybe leaves you with a final thought to chew on, considering everything, the features, the design, the integration, but also that price.
What's the one single thing that would tip the scales for you?
Right. Would it be the seamless Apple stuff? That amazing ANC? The look and feel? Or maybe the lack of lossless audio is the deal breaker?
It really forces you to think about your own priorities, doesn't it? What matters most to you in a pair of premium headphones?